Just as we need to rediscover some of our weaknesses so that we can be honest about ourselves, so that we actually can become strong, we do need to rediscover our strengths as well. And that was one of the things that was made very apparent to me this past week while I was on retreat. A great grace was rediscovering one of my greatest strengths, which is that God has called me into a brotherhood of priests. It's amazing to be on retreat with 25 of your brother priests, to stand next to them as you're saying mass. You hardly ever have that experience throughout your priesthood unless you go on a retreat like that. To stand next to your brother priest, 20-some. These are men that I've spent life together. These are men that I spent time together with when we were back discovering our weaknesses, when we were working through, like, how can God possibly be calling me to this? And we were working through our weaknesses together. In fact, that's one of the things that makes it fun. When we get together, I have one of the greatest times in my life. We laugh more than we ever do throughout the rest of the year. Oftentimes it's because we're laughing at our own weaknesses. We know each other's weaknesses because we saw them. We reminisce on old memories. We reminisce on the ways that we've grown, and sometimes on the ways that we still haven't grown, and we need to, but it's just sharing that time. I told you that I was silent, all of last week. Well, I was silent most of the day, and we were silent most of the day to allow that time for prayer and entering into relationship with the Lord. But we also decided that in the evenings we would share some brotherhood, some fraternity together. It was something that we needed and wanted to reinvest in. And so we laughed together. We shared meals together. We talked about you all. We talked about the people that we serve. We talked about our complications. We talked about the beauty, the adventure that it is to be a priest. And that's something that always gives me strength. When I'm at my worst, when I discover my weaknesses, when I rediscover my weaknesses too, one of the greatest remedies for me, I know, is calling one of my brother priests. It's one of the greatest strengths that I have in my life, is that God called me to a brotherhood of other men whom I can confide in. Let me tell you something about those brothers. I call them brothers for a specific purpose. They're brothers because they're not all my friends. They don't all call me friends, because friends are those who consistently invest in one another. And quite frankly, it's just not practical for all of us brother priests to have an invested friendship in. There are some specific guys who we invest in one another. But one thing I can tell you about those men is that looking around that room, and somebody even said it last week, that even though we might not all be close friends, we have a confidence and a trust, and that we can pick up the phone at any time, especially in our weakness. We can pick up that phone and we can confide in one another. I have a brother in all of those men, and I know that is one of my strengths, that God gave me those men that I can confide in, a brotherhood. Men who understand, men who can be confidential, men who can speak into my experience, men who have known me for 5, 6, 10 years now. And we've walked together through some difficult things, through some beautiful things. I ask you to reconsider, and rediscover, even as you look at your weaknesses, what are your strengths? We have to be aware of those things. If we've been aware of our weaknesses, we should also rediscover, what are our strengths? What are the gifts that God has given me? What are the things, maybe this is the question, that give me life? Those men give me life. That brotherhood gives me life. What is it? What are the things that give you life? Oftentimes we've asked you to join a Bible study, to join a small group, to make spiritual friendships, to have those people in your life. And they may not share your personality. They may not be the people that you hang out with on a regular basis when you just want to have a social time. But they might be the people that you need in your life, so that you can call on when you're rediscovering a weakness. You can call, that you can find strength in, so that you can give to them in their weakness. We all need these relationships in our life. That we can confide in one another, that we can actually work through our weaknesses. We can make each other strong by the grace of God. That is one of God's greatest graces, that he gives us other people to remind us of his grace, of his love for us. That we can do this, that even despite our weaknesses, we will be strong. I ask that you continue to rediscover those weaknesses. You rediscover those strengths. We allow the Lord to manifest himself, all the ways that he continues to provide for us. I can say that, even though we might not all be friends, we're made to build each other up as spiritual brothers and sisters. We're made to build each other up so that we can continue to persevere in this path of life.